You love Robert Kraft, as you often say on this show.
Yes, I do.
I still have not gotten over, and I fear I will never get over, the statement that Robert Kraft made at the league meetings, I believe in the Bay Area, back on May 19th, when he walked up to the microphone and he read a statement and did not take any questions. And that was the day that he announced that he was reluctantly going to back off and accept all the punishment that the commissioner wanted to dole out against his Patriots. Remember that day? Mm-hmm. And he basically said, I'm a league man, so I have to go along with the good of the whole instead of just fighting for my 1/32nd of this pie. I'm putting words in his mouth here, but that was the message that he was sending. I sat right here the following day, and I was outraged that Robert Kraft deserted his quarterback. Now, I believe from the start that his quarterback was innocent, but he left Tom Brady high and dry. He left Tom Brady twisting in the wind. He left Tom Brady looking even guiltier than he looked to much, if not most, of America, who had branded him at that point already a cheater who lied about it. And I think a lot of people still believe that's what Tom Brady is. And I just can't get over that because he sold out his quarterback, man. And I'm not sure that deep down Tom Brady has gotten over that, but Tom Brady isn't a league man, he's a team man. So he's still going to fight for his team as he continues to fight for his innocence in the Court of Appeals now, as we all know. There's no way that Robert Kraft is going to get the draft choice back, certainly not until the appeals court ruling comes down, and it could be toward, I don't know, June, July, who knows when it will come down. So there's no way he's going to get the draft pick back right now. He fully well knows that. So to me, this was more of the perfect PR play instead of a genuine effort to retrieve the draft choice.
I disagree with you. Number one, I think you're being disrespectful to the great Robert Kraft for assuming that he's going to say something just for PR purposes. He has the ultimate form of PR. His team wins. They've been to so many consecutive AFC championship games. They're perennial title contenders. They're 4-time Super Bowl champions. And oh, by the way, they have also been in the press for the wrong reasons. Spygate, Deflategate, and beyond. So I don't think PR is ultimately his objective, his agenda, his goal. And I think it's disrespectful to somebody of his stature to label it that way. I don't look at Robert Kraft that way. I revere this man. I have profound respect for him.
We hear that often.
That's right. And I'm never going to change that because I like the way he goes about handling his business. Now we dissect and get into what the impetus is behind all of this. Skip Bayless. Tom Brady thus far has won in the courts. It's not over. It's still ongoing. But the idea that the NFL is after Tom Brady because they want to make sure that the commissioner continues to have the power to wield the way that he wields, that's an entirely different argument, separate and apart from the New England Patriots. And so what Robert Kraft is saying is that if your eye is set in that direction, why are we a part of this? Why did we have to give up a first and a fourth rounder? Particularly when you said that the coach, you found nothing that it indicates that the coach, Bill Belichick, or his staff was involved in this in any way. Then ultimately what you're saying is this is about Tom Brady.
Yep.
And if this is about Tom Brady, what does it have to do with us? I find it to be a very salient point on the part of Robert Kraft. A matter of fact, so much so that I actually agree with them. Now, I don't believe that it'll happen, and I understand that the NFL's preoccupied with making sure that they maintain and hold on to a power that they collectively bargained to have, that the NFL Players Association for years have been unable to confiscate from them. But the flip side to it is if you're Robert Kraft, you want a justification for why is it that our team is suffering when clearly what you appear to be saying is that this is about Tom Brady and about things that we had no knowledge of, because if you're not holding anybody else culpable and you're letting it go, then that's a different argument. And I respect that. Now where it gets dicey, Skip, is if we get into why the league decided to confiscate that first and fourth round pick. Because what if they did so because they don't want to go after Bill Belichick, because Kraft didn't want them to go after Bill Belichick. then that's where your argument will come into play and the game changes. If indeed Robert Kraft was willing to accept the penalty that he accepted from Roger Goodell to protect Bill Belichick, now we got a different kind of problem. Because if you remember, at the time this was going down, when I reported about the cell phone being destroyed and all of that other stuff, according to my sources, one of the things that I was also told, and I reported it right here on First Take, was that I had heard that if Bill Belichick, when Spygate went down, it was said to him that if you are involved or found to have been involved in any kind of thing that compromises the integrity of the game, you could face banishment. So if Robert Kraft indeed accepted the punishment in order to protect Bill Belichick, then your argument about him doing this just for PR purposes has weight. Because then he's just saying it just to look good in the eyes of the public. But if you don't believe that that's the case, and I don't believe that that's the case, then I think it's perfectly within his right to sit there and ask for those draft picks to be returned to him in light of the lack of evidence or the shaky evidence that the Wells investigation
just a quick point of order, because you said you reported that he destroyed his cell phone, and his attorneys in court, and Brady said well,
that his cell phone was gone, that his cell phone was gone, they changed his cell phone.
They're saying he just changed to a new cell phone. He didn't, quote-unquote, destroy it.
All right.
He discarded it. Just for the record.
I didn't use the word destroyed back then, but what I'm saying is, you are ridiculous.
It's still in court.
Let me tell you why you're ridiculous. Let me tell you why you're ridiculous. So in other words, if I erase everything from the cell phone and I put it in the trunk of my car, right? To you, well, that doesn't mean he destroyed it. He put it in the trunk of his car and erased all of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, you're being very literal on purpose. You're being very literal. No, you are. You are being literal on purpose. Stop it. You're being literal on purpose, and you know it.
And they scored with Judge Berman because they said he did not destroy his cell phone. Remember, it was in their report. It said, the Wells report said he destroyed his cell phone.
The information that was on the cell was no longer on the cell. That's what we're saying. We don't mean they took a hammer and come on, Skip. You know that's not what everybody's saying.
In the media, though,
you're just trying to be ridiculous. Anything to protect Tom Brady. Anything to protect Tom Brady.
No. Him running over.
They had a headline in the Wells report. Tom Brady destroyed himself. They used the word in the headline.
I'm just saying. I'm not debating that. I'm saying you know good and damn well what they mean by that. It's not like they took a hammer or put it by the Honda wheel of the car and ran over the daggone phone or something. You could just simply erase the stuff that's on the cell phone. That's all they're talking about here.
You're amending your report.
No, I'm saying, what are you talking about? Really? That's what you're doing? That's what you're doing? Semantics. Anything to get Tom Brady off. Anything. You're unbelievable. Unbelievable. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Remember, Bob Kraft was not breaking new ground with what he said yesterday about they didn't validate the ideal gas law that they used. They didn't, through their research last year, you know, that they haven't released the research that they might have done last year. So he's saying that there was no validation. That's the Peter King argument that we talked about on this show a month ago. Am I right? And then the Boston Globe did it 3 or 4 days ago. They followed up on why hasn't the NFL done more to research this? Why haven't they validated their argument that they used against Tom Brady in Deflategate? Why didn't they approve the ideal gas law instead of watching it just float out there and be disapproved by so many other people? Okay, so Bob Kraft is just parroting what's already out there. He's not breaking new ground here. He's just jumping on a bandwagon that was already rolling at full speed. That's a pretty easy argument to make. Right?
You might say that, but what I'm saying to you, Skip, in the end, you're trying to dismiss his words as just something for PR consumption.
I am.
And I'm saying to you, I wouldn't necessarily do that unless his original willingness to absorb the penalty was to protect Bill Belichick, which is possible. I don't believe that that's why he was doing what he's doing. I think as the months have passed, as the season has passed, as the evidence still appears so questionable in their eyes, and the fight appears to be between the league and Tom Brady and the league's right to wield the power that it wields, I think it's perfectly within Robert Kraft's purview to ask, excuse me, so this isn't about us after all. Then why did you take our draft picks? I don't see why you don't understand that.
Okay, I don't, because back on May 19th when he made the statement at the owners meeting, again, if you're saying he was trying to protect his coach at that moment, is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah.
I never suggested
that. No, I'm suggesting it because of his willingness to take the penalty, the 2 picks.
Okay, if he did, in fact, do that, then he chose his coach over his quarterback, because when he folded his tent, he made the quarterback look even guiltier.
But I told you,
understand?
But
I give up.
But I said to you back then, if Bill Belichick, we're all willing to concede that Bill Belichick, and again, we don't know. Yeah. We don't know what happened, so I don't want to come across as convicting Bill Belichick in the court of public opinion like that. I'm simply making the case that if you are a Hall of Fame coach and the face of the organization who does all of these things, it's not to say that Tom Brady is guilty. It is to say, however, sometimes you do eat certain things for the greater good. You do. You might sit there. It's perfectly plausible. Do I lose Tom Brady for 2 to 4 games, or do I lose Bill Belichick indefinitely?
Okay, well, you know how I feel about that. You're saying he chose his coach over his quarterback.
And I'm saying to you,
and that's wrong.
And I'm saying to you, well, you might say it's wrong.
I definitely think it's wrong.
But that's a pundit and a commentator, not an owner that has to make a call in the best interest of the entire organization.
From the start, I said on this show, I'm far more suspicious in Deflategate of the coach than I am of the quarterback.
Yes, that is correct. You did say that.
And I still am.
Wait a minute. You did say that. But the flip side, ladies and gentlemen, is this. When you are the owner and you're on that perch, I don't care what industry you're in. Sometimes the subordinates got to take hits to gloss over mistakes that may have been made by somebody in an authoritative position. That does happen.
At the expense of Tom Brady, essentially, to keep the coach, right?
At the expense of Tom Brady's legacy? That's what you're doing.
Wait a minute.
Keep the coach.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You're acting like somebody asked Tom Brady to admit guilt. No, Tom Brady was going to fight no matter what. If you know that, then it's a fight that you have to fight. But if you're trying to protect Bill Belichick, please understand that sometimes that might take precedent because he could be going. Period.
Okay, but remember, the owner admitted guilt effectively when he read that statement. I reluctantly
He said he reluctantly because of what's in the best interest of the league, because he thought that the matter would be dropped and they could move forward. What happened is the NFL kept going. So Robert Kraft was of the mindset at the time that, look, let us address this to get this out of the news, because the NFL is in the news for all the wrong reasons. We can't have a perennial Super Bowl contender being perceived as people who are trying to skirt around the rules and cheat our way to Super Bowl titles. We don't need that to be headlines, because that's all the headlines were throughout the offseason.
Remember, soon after that, Kraft reversed field and said, I shouldn't have trusted the league.
Because he thought they would drop it.
Okay, but the quarterback was still going to have to pay a price with an admission of guilt that Tom Brady was not willing to do.
But if you knew that, Skip, Mr. Kraft knew that Tom Brady wasn't going to do that. He knew that Tom Brady wasn't going to come out and admit guilt.
Defend him, then keep fighting.
But what I'm saying to you is this: at the point you have to, I don't care how special Tom Brady is. He's not worth $1 billion. You got a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate we're talking about here. It was permeating the airwaves and the newswires and everything else. He's like, wait a minute.
Tom Brady is the conglomerate in New England.
You know what?
He is.
You know what? That's nonsense.
No, it's
That's
not
nonsense. As
he
great
is.
as he's fantastic, he's great, but there is no one player that is anything in the NFL. If Tom Brady was not playing
dynasty,
let me ask you a question. I got it right here. I got it right here, Molly, and we'll end this. If Tom Brady wasn't playing this year, were you going to stop watching New England games?
Yeah.
That's a lie. You just lied. You just lied on national TV. You're lying on national TV. You were going to